first, let me quickly tell about Mind Magics. Then I will explain. I will give an intro about myself. Then we'll get the topics we are going to cover for today, the agenda of of this webinar and all. So Mind Magics is a leading global company. Okay, we are just training from the past 8 years in all the IT courses. So we offer more than 500 courses which you come across in apart from the blockchain, big data, data science, DevOps. So you can see the most number of the IT technologies are covered by Institute Mind Magics. Okay, so we have trained more than 410,000 of students, and the course curriculum is like designed such a way that it's industry related. So whatever you will be learning, you will be able to apply to some relevant real-time scenarios of the industry. So the most of the trainers which we have are working along with this training thing. So they do this as a freelancing, and they have the IT exposure as well. So they can relate you with the real-time projects as well. Okay, the Python course which we are offering, we will be offering the complete Python programming course. Okay, along with this, after this course completion, we are going with the two projects. Okay, so the projects we will be making two applications there. So those applications we will be saying, we just try to inculcate some real-time scenarios in that application, so that if you are doing that project, you will be able to get an insight, okay, how you have to work on based on in your industry. Okay, so most of the persons, mainly they might be a job seeker, or they want to get into Python. Okay, so if they are experienced, or even if they are experienced, then they need to show some kind of experience. Okay, they did this, they that did some kind of project. So we keep in mind that, okay, if after the course we just provide some kind of training to them which will make them ready for industry. Okay, so the agenda of this webinar is, first we will be discussing what is Python, then why there is a boom of Python. Okay, why we use Python, Python features, who uses Python. So I will be naming the few giants of our industry who are using Python, where they are using Python, why Python is preferred. Then environmental setup of Python, installing Python. I will be telling about the installations method of Python. Then we will be listing out the different development tools which we can use for working on Python. Then I'll talk about the OOPS concept. I will talk about the Python programming language. Okay, so we'll set up everything, and then we'll start with a normal hello world example. Then we'll go to the data types, and we'll learn two data types, that is strings and lists. Okay, after that I will try to cover the functions, how to create functions, how the functions will be working. So I will try to give a hands-on on that. Okay, not just through the PPT thing. And after that I'll try to cover this file handling portion. Then we will be discussing about the Python career opportunities, and then the reasons of Python's increasing demand, then Python job opportunities, and then we will have a Q&A session. Okay, so let's first get into the first slide, that is the features of Python. Okay. Python is a very popular language. It's now mainly used as a programming language. Earlier, when Python was developed, it was mainly used for scripting side, but now Python is not just limited to a scripting language. Okay, now you can build an end-to-end application, including from a basic GUI application, that is a Windows application, to a server programmed application. You can develop anything. Okay, so the feature of Python includes that it's a high level language. So what we mean by basically high level language, when I talk about a high level programming language, when we are programming in a particular language like Java, C, or this, we don't get into the architecture. We don't have to bother about, okay, how the memory mapping is done, how the register is storing. We just write our program in a simple English language. Okay, so that's why these languages are called high level languages. Python is also an interpreted language. Now, we know that our computer understands only binaries, that is the zeros and ones. So when you are writing a program in any of the language, it needs to be translated to computer's language so that the computer can understand it and computer will execute that program. So we have two things here. Some languages are compiled and some languages are interpreted. So what happens in a compiled language, there will be a middle compilation phase. Okay, so where your original high level code will be executed and you will be getting a binaries of that. Okay, so that will be an intermediate code, and then those binaries will be further executed. Okay, so when we do the compilation phase. Normally type checking and other things are done. We generally don't execute any program in compilation phase. But what happens in Python? Python is an interpreted language. So what happens? Again, your program will be converted, but the conversion happens so that, suppose if you have 15 lines of program, then first it will be checking from top to bottom, and each of the line will be read from the left to right. So it will be checking for a line. If the line is correct, before moving to the next line, it will execute that line, and then it will go to the next line. Again, it will check for the syntax and the semantics. If that is correct, then before moving to the third line, it will execute that. So that's the main thing. We don't have a middle compilation phase in interpreted language. Each of the lines will be converted, and then it will be reading the next line. So in interpreted language, execution will keep on simultaneously happening. Okay, so Python supports both the approach. It's a functional programming language. Also, it supports the object-oriented model. So it's like a bonus, like some languages. Like there is a very popular language, Java. Okay, it's again a very popular language, but it has only OOPS concept. Okay, so if you are working on a Java, you have to go through the object-oriented approach. You have to include everything inside a class. You have to create object for execution and all those things. Okay, so even to write a hello world program, you have to make a class. You have to give the public static void main, and then you have to give the details of hello world thing, system.out.println and hello world. But in Python, we don't have that. If you just need to print a simple hello world, it's not mandatory to include a class and an object or anything like that. You can simply put a print statement that print hello world, and you can execute that. You will get the output hello world. So that's the advantage. If you have to, it depends on a developer which approach it wants to take. Also, it depends on the project requirements. So what you want. Okay, so mainly into the analytics, and also suppose if you have to plot something, you have to see the simultaneous results below the cells. So you don't have to create a class and object. It totally depends. If you want to create, you can do that. But even if you don't want to do that, you have a normal approach where you can execute it line by line. The fourth feature is that Python is a type inferred language. Now it's a very cool feature of Python. So what happens when we tell that, okay, add 2 plus 3? So the computer needs to know that which 2 we are talking about. Is it a number 2 or is it a string TWO? So the computer should know what it needs to do. If it's a string, then it will be concatenating. If it's a number, then it needs to add that thing. So to make the computer understand what we are feeding, that depends on the data type. So we declare a variable. The variable is just like a container which will be holding some values. So we will declare a variable, and along with the variable, we will be providing the data type. That, hey boss, this is the data type of this variable. So this variable can hold only that particular data type. So if you will try to assign some other data type, it will give error. But in Python, we don't have that overhead. What you have to do, whenever you have to use a variable, you just create it at that very moment, assign the value, whatever value you want to assign. Now it's the duty of the interpreter to deduce the data type. So the data type of that particular variable will be automatically inferred by your interpreter. So if you are writing a is equals to 7, the number 7, so that time the data type of a will become number. So if you'll check type of a, it will become number. Okay, if you'll check, if you'll say a is equals to 7 inside quotes, then it will be inferred as a string. So that time the data type will be as a str. So that's what we mean by a type inferred language. So now let's get into the history of Python. Okay, so it was developed in early 90s, basically to be precise, in 1991. So Guido von Rossum is known as the father of Python. Okay, so he named it Python after a very popular show, that is Monty Python's Flying Circus. And it was his favorite show. So he named the Python after that. And from that time only, since it was developed, it is an open source programming language. So we have a community which anyone can contribute to the Python source code. So you can get the source code of Python, you can contribute, it needs to be approved, and you can put your code. Now let's talk about the industry giants who are using Python. So Google is one of the very famous companies which we all know, and it is using Python mainly into the web crawling scripts. And along with this, it is also using the Python as a server-side programming language. Facebook, again, a very popular social networking site. Okay, it uses Python for many ad handlers and bots, bot programming. Also, in some cases, it is using Python for its server side also, server side along with other languages. Instagram is a very big community which you can say is completely developed on Django. Django is a framework of Python which we use for web application development. So Instagram is using the Django framework, and it's completely developed on top of that framework. Spotify, it's a music streaming company which is using Python for data analytics and backend services. Netflix, again, it is using it as a data analysis and backend tool. YouTube, most of the part of the YouTube is written in Python. Okay. Then Dropbox, Reddit, Quora, these are other few companies which we know, everyone knows, and they are using Python in some other way. Okay. So now Python is not restricted to a particular field. Okay. So it's not like, okay, you can use Python only for a scripting thing. You can use it for multiple purposes. So if you know the Python programming, it totally depends on your interest area. You can choose any area of your interest. If you're interested into the automation testing, you can do that. Okay, if you are into the web development, you can do that. If you want to get into the AI and ML, you can do that. So it totally depends on you. Just you have to know the Python and the related libraries, the frameworks, those things. Now let's get into the installation part. So the installation part, Python can be installed from the Python's official website, that is https://www.python.org/downloads. Okay, so you can go to this particular website and you can download the Python. Now we have two versions of Python. So there is a Python 2x version and there is a Python 3x version. Now the 2x version is getting deprecated, so there is no more enhancements going in 2x version. Python is just supporting the 2x version. Most of the companies already migrated to Python 3, some are still migrating. So download the Python 3 version. Okay, 3x version, anything, 3.7, 3.8, any of the stable version you can download. You can find all the versions over there, and according to the OS which you are having. So if someone is having Mac OS or Linux or Windows, based on the operating system you have, just download that and you can have it ready. The other thing is that the best approach is you can go with this, then you have to separately install the IDEs. Like if you want to work with the Jupyter notebook, which we'll be talking about, then you have to separately install the Jupyter notebook. If you want to go with the Spider or PyCharm, IDE again depends on your choice, your comfort level, which IDE you are comfortable with, what is the requirement of the project, those things. So you have to separately install the IDEs. But there is a website called Anaconda. Okay, so if you are downloading the Python from the Anaconda repository, so it will give you an advantage. What will happen when you are installing Python from this particular Python's official website? So it will be giving you a core package of Python. What all core libraries are there, the core functionalities of Python, and only those things. But if you are going mainly, I'm telling you this for mainly the persons who are interested into the AI/ML side. So for them, download it from the Anaconda side. Okay, so what will happen along with the core libraries? It will be giving you many other libraries, mainly into the data analytics and the ML side. Also, it is bundled up with two very good IDEs, that is Jupyter Notebook and Spider. So once you are installing Python, you will automatically get the IDEs Jupyter Notebook and the Spider. Also, it will be providing you the Conda repository, and a lot of features are there. So it again totally depends on your choice. Now let's get into the Python things. Okay, so Python have, as usually, all the operators, arithmetic operator, the comparison operators, the logical operators, bitwise operators, everything is there in Python as well. They work the same way. I can't include those basic things. I have not included those basic things in this webinar thing because of the time constraint. So we will first start with the data types only. So I will be covering the two very popular data types, okay, of any programming language. That is the strings and the list. So list sometimes is often referred as arrays in other programming language. So I will try to cover most of the things in strings and lists. Okay, so what basically a string is? A string, anything which is written inside a single quote, double quote, or triple quote will be considered as a string in Python. Anything. So any character which you will write inside a single quote, double quote, or a triple quote, it will be considered as a string in Python. So there is a no character data type, that is a char data type in Python. So basically, if you are putting a single character inside a quote, it will be treated as a string of length 1. Okay. Now, what happens? Let's quickly go to the editor. We'll do this there only. So I hope everyone can see this editor. Okay. So suppose if I'm saying s is equals to my. Now I have used a double quotes here to enclose my string. It's a correct way of writing. Suppose I'm putting another string to. Now I will be using a single quotes. This is also a valid representation of string. And if I'll say s3, this is again a valid representation of string. Okay. Now when I'm talking about the triple quotes can be all the type of triple quotes. It can be single triple quotes, or it can be 3 times the double quotes. So you can write it like this also. Okay. So this is also a valid way of writing a string. Now all these 4 are a string. Now when to use what? Again, it totally depends on your comfort level, what you are comfortable with. But there are some scenarios which I'll tell you. Suppose if you have a any of these quotes character in your string, like apostrophe or something like this. So like let me execute it for now. Okay. Suppose I'm putting another string like x is equals to Python's class. Now this particular string, okay, I want this apostrophe s to be included as a part of my string. So this particular string, if I'll try to enclose it inside the single quotes, okay, if I'll try to enclose it single quotes, it will throw me a syntax error. Why? Because Python first it will interpret from this portion, this open string, to this particular open close quote. It will think that this is your string. After that, it will read there are some other characters also which are not enclosed, so it will complain. But we were having this as our character. So one way is either you can put a escape character to escape it. Now it's a valid case. Okay. The other way is if suppose multiple quotes are there in your string, multiple times this apostrophe or anything is used in your string, you can't put multiple backslashes to escape those characters. So it's better to write the entire string, to enclose the entire string into double quote. Okay. Now you don't have to put an escape character, and it will be a fine example of a string. It will work. So if you if you try to access the value of x, you can see I'm getting the value of x. Also you can see I'm just writing a simple line and I'm trying to execute it. Because of the interpreted feature of Python, I'm getting the output also. So if you put it inside the print of x, it will work. Okay, it will work, anything is fine. Okay. So here you can see the Python is an interpreted, so line by line execution is happening. You don't have to write the entire thing inside a class and then you have to execute it. Cool. So now let's talk about the string. Also, when we will be using this triple quotes again is used when you have a multi-line string. If your string is spanning into multiple lines, then it's better to use a triple quote. So how you can write a multi-line string? Suppose I have a variable as y. Okay. Also see the type inferred property which I talked about. I am not providing anywhere the data type. Okay. I'm not providing in any of the case. I have not kept that. Okay. The s4 or s is a str data type. Now, if you'll check, suppose this x was a variable which I executed a few minutes back. If you'll check the type of x, it will be automatically telling you it's a str, that is string. Correct. So x is being inferred automatically by your interpreter. So you just need to take a variable, assign the value, now leave it up to the Python. It's his duty to do the interpretation. Okay, fine. I was talking about the triple quotes. Okay, now triple quote we will be using for multi-line spanning string. Suppose I have a string like this, line 1 is there, then line 2 is there, then sorry, line 3, there's something like this. So if you have a condition like this, then you can use a triple line. sorry, triple quotes. Now you don't have to do anything. Okay, you can just simply see the value of y will be line 1, line 2, line 3 enclosed. Okay, so triple quotes mainly we are using to enclose a string which is spanning multiple lines. Also, triple quotes can be used when your string has both the other operators. Like suppose if your string has some quotations also, it's double quotes also, and triple single quotes also. That time it's better to enclose your string with a triple quotes, or else again you have to put escape characters everywhere. Okay. Okay, one more thing, keep in mind when you will be working, often you will be seeing this triple quote is used as a comment also. Okay, so multi-line comment is also used enclosed inside a triple string, and triple quotes is also used to assign a string. So now what's the difference? The difference is the assignment of variable. Okay, so when we are talking about string, we are putting some string inside a triple quote and we are assigning that to a variable, correct? So now whenever I need this particular string, I can access it using this particular variable. So I will say, hey, y, give me the value stored inside you. It will give you the value. But if you want to put a comment, so comment are unreferenced. Okay, so suppose triple quotes, any comment is this there. Okay, this line is a comment. Okay, this is another line of multi-line comment. Actually, multi-line comments is inclusion inside the triple quote. Now, here also it's a string only, but it doesn't have any reference. You can't see it cannot be referenced, so it will not be created for into memory. Python's memory management works like this only. Can others go on mute? Someone unmuted him. Okay, cool. Okay, so what I was talking about, the comments. Okay, now any multi-line comments will be enclosed inside the triple quotes, but it doesn't have any reference. So Python's memory management works on the reference. So every time, if suppose you have this particular thing, x is equals to mind magics. Now this will be created inside a memory. It will have some memory address, and mind magic will be stored in that address, and s will be referring to that address. Now, okay. Now what happened? Whenever you will try to access, you will say s, it will be, you are basically referring to that memory and you will be getting the value mind magics. But suppose you have deleted this variable s, now no one is referring to that memory which is storing mind magic. So that time Python's garbage collection will clear out that memory, so that that memories can be used for other storing other variable. So that's how the reference count will make a variable store some memory in Python. So if the reference count becomes 0, that particular memory will be freed up in Python. Okay. Now in this case there was no reference, so this will be treated as a comment. But in this case, in this particular case, it will be treated as a string because we have a reference, so we can refer to this. Okay. So let's not get into this much. Okay. So let's talk about the properties of string. Let me create a string once again. S is equals to here mind, or let me hello. Now I have created a string s is equals to hello world. Okay. Each of the characters in the string is having a index value. Each of the character in the string is having an index value. So if you will talk about the character h, starting from left to right, the count will start from 0 and it will go till the length -1. So the first character of this string is having a value 0. The second is 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are called the index values of the characters. Okay, so each of the character inside a string is having an index value. If Python provides you two ways of counting, from left to right, the counting will start from 0 and it will go into the positive manner, 0, 1, 2, 3, like this. Python also provides you a way of counting from right to left, and right to left the counting will start from -1 and it will increase accordingly. So the last index is at -1, then -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. Like this, it will be at I think at -11. Okay. Yes. So that's what. This is the indexing technique. So if you want to access any of the character of a string, what you need to do, you will be just typing in the name of the string, typing the name of the string, followed by the square brackets and giving the index. So suppose I want the first character, that is H. So I will be giving the index value 0. If I'll execute it, I will be getting H. Okay. So that's what happens. Each of the characters. So suppose I want D. Now I will be giving S of 10 and I will be getting D. Why 10? Because my counting started from 0. So 10. Basically, the last character will be length -1. Okay. The second last character. So again, you will have to say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, it is at 9. So you will be saying S of 9. But can you imagine? This is a hectic task. So if I'll ask you, okay, get me the second last character of a string. In any case, that string is not fixed. That string can have 5 characters. That string can have 13 characters. That string can have 22 characters. In each instance, I want you to get me the second last character. So what you, that time you will not be able to count. Okay, so what you will be doing, the first basic approach you will be doing is, you will be saying S, then brackets, and we have a length function which will be giving you the total length of characters in the string. So I will be saying length of S. Okay, so basically the length of S will be giving you 11. Now I know that last character is -1, length -1. So the second last character will be at length -2. So now it will be valid for all the strings. So if that string has 5 characters, then also it will be giving you the second last character. If it has 13 characters, then also it will be giving you second last character. But again, Python is designed in such a way that there should be least characters in your code, least number of characters in your code. Okay, so it's a very developer friendly programming language. So you have to type very less. Now I know I need to get the second last character. Why I will be doing like this? I have a simple approach, the negative indexing. I will be saying the last character -1, second last character -2. So I will go with the negative indexing in that case, and I will be extracting whatever the desired character I want. So keep in mind, if anyone will ask you, okay, get me a particular character, get me a particular character. If he is talking from the in a positive manner, start counting from the left to right. But if he is asking, you get me the second last, third last, or something, anything from last, it should strike in your mind that you need to do a negative indexing there. Okay, so this is how you will be accessing any particular character in a string. Okay, now let's see how we will be doing a slice operation, that is getting a substring of a string. Again, it is a very simple operation in Python to get a substring of a string. So my string is hello world. Now suppose if I'll ask you, get me HELLO. Okay, get me the the first 5 characters, so any number, first 3 characters, first 4 characters, anything. Whenever you have to perform a slice operation, or you have to get the characters from the second character to the second last character, anything of any such kind of operation where you have to do a slicing, what you need to do, you have to keep 3 things in mind: the start index, sorry, start index, end index, and the step size. What is the start index? Start index is the starting position from where you need to extract the string. Then you have to get the end index till where you want to get the string. So end index is always exclusive, and start index has a default value of 0. Then the third property is step size. What the step size is doing, it is helping you to get the next particular character. So how it will work, I will explain you in a moment. Let's again go back to the IDE and let's do it there. So suppose if in this case I have to, the string is mind magics and I need to get the mind of this. Okay, the first 4 characters. So I will be saying 0, that is my starting character from where I want to slice. So the first character is at the 0th position. So from here I want to slice, I will be saying 0 as a start character, then a colon, and then I will be giving the end character. So end character is D. What is the index value of D? The index value is 3. But end index is an exclusive thing. it will not be included. So if you want to include this D also, so you have to give a value 1 more than your end index. Okay, so you will be giving 4, and then 1 is the step size. Step size is used to get the next particular character. So it is basically added to the start index, and it will keep on iterating till you reach the end index. So 0, first it will pick the first character 0, M you will get, then it will add the step size to 0. 0 plus 1, 1, it will get the character from the index number 1. Again 1 plus 1, 2. 2 is not the end index, so it will get the character from index number 2. Then 2 plus 1, 3. Again it will get the character from the third index. Then it will say 3 plus 1, 4. You have reached the end index. Now it will stop terminating. So basically you will get the characters from 0, 1, 2 and 3 index. Okay, so let's quickly see it here. Suppose I want to get the hello from this, so I will be saying 0 colon 5 colon 1. Okay, now whenever you want to start from the starting index only, it's not mandatory to give 0. Okay, so the same thing you can access it like this also, colon 5 colon 1. Okay, you will be getting the same thing. Also, if you want to get the consecutive character, means the next character is coming by adding 1 only, you don't need to give the step size as well. Okay, so this again it will become optional. So the same thing can be accessed like this also, colon 5. Okay, now if I will say, okay, get me the entire string, or get me from W to, get me the last 5 characters, okay, from W to D. So what is the index of W? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I want to start indexing from 6th position. So I will 6 colon. Now the D is at 10th position. I have to give 11, and again step size is 1, so I will not be including that. So I will be saying 6 colon 11. Now again, if you have to iterate till the end of the string, you don't need to give the end index. So simply you can say s of 6 colon and thus. Now you will be getting the same result. Okay, so in let's conclude this. Suppose I want to get the entire string. Okay, so what I can do in shortcut, I can just put a colon. So if I'll execute it, I will be getting the entire string. Why? The end index is empty, it means I need to go till the end of the string. The start index is empty, it means I need to start from the 0th index. Okay, so you will be getting the entire string. Now suppose someone will ask you, okay, get me all the alternate characters of this particular string. That is H, then L, then O, then W, then R, and then D. So in that particular case, what we will be doing, I have to give as, I need the entire string, so I will be putting the start index empty, end index empty. Now I will be changing the step size to 2. Okay, so now what happens, start index will be 0, and then 2 will be added to 0. What I will be getting, I will be getting the next character, that is 0 plus 2, 2. So it will be a start from H, then it will get you L, then it will give you 2 plus 2 4 O, 4 plus 2 6 W, 6 plus 2 8 R, and then 8 plus 2 10. Okay, if I'll execute it, you will be getting all the alternate characters. Cool. Now we know that each of the characters is having two type of indexes, a positive index and a negative index. Let's quickly see whether we can slice a string using negative index as well or not. Okay, yes, we can. Please, whoever has unmuted himself, go on mute. Okay, cool. So what I need to do, I have to say s of. Now in this case, what I need to do, suppose let's first quickly get the string. What was my string? Hello world. I need to get the WORLD. Now let's try to access it using the negative index. Okay, so what, from where I want to start, what should I give in the start index? The index value of W. So it is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So I need to start from -5. I need to go where? I need to access the string till -1, correct? But I can't give -1 here. I can't give -1 because if I'll give -1 here, end index is exclusive and I will not be getting the last character. So I need to give one more than the last index. So one more than -1 is 0. You can't give 0 also. Okay, so I will quickly show what happens in -1. -1 will not give you D. Okay, if you try to put a 0, it will, interpreter will not understand this thing. Okay, it will say, hey, you are starting from -1 and you are accessing 0. It will return you nothing. So in that case, if you want to access these last five characters, okay, now you have to go till the end of the string. Simply keep the end as empty. Now you will be getting the last five characters. Okay, cool. Let's do one more example. As we know that the index value are having two values, a positive value and a negative value. Similarly, our step size is also having a negative step sizing also. So when I'm putting a positive step size, it means it is traversing from left to right. If I want to iterate from right to left, what I need to do? I need to do the negative step size. Okay. So let's try to access the last five characters. Okay. But in the reverse order. So I want D, L, R, O, W to be printed out. So in that case, I have to, please, whoever has joined, mute yourself. Okay. Still you have not muted. AS, whoever has joined as this AS, please mute yourself. Okay. I want the last five characters in the reverse order. So again, let's think what I need to do. I need to give start index. From where I need to start? I need to start from this particular character now because I need to traverse in the from right to left. So I'll be saying S of -1. Okay. Now I need to go till which character? I need to go till W. What is the index value in the reverse, in the negative way? It is -5. So I need to give one more than this. So I'll be putting -6. Okay. Now, if I'll execute it now, what will happen? I will get nothing. Why? Because still the step size is one only. Because when I'm executing a program without providing step size, it will be taking the default value of 1. So what happens? -1 plus 1 will be added. And what you will be getting? -1 plus 1, 0. So its string will, interpreter will confuse there only. It will return you nothing. Now you need to traverse from right to left. So you start from -1 and you need to get the next character, which is at -2. So what needs to be added to -1 to get -2? -1. So now your step size should become -1. Now -1 -1 -2, -2 -1 -3, -3 -1 -4, -4 -1 -5, and then -6 is the end string. So it will not be taken. So now you can see you are getting a string in printed in the last five characters in the reverse order. So now you can predict that if I want to reverse a string, I don't have to do much thing. I just have to write something like this: colon colon -1, and you will get a reverse of your original string. So simple. That's why Python is loved so much. Okay. So just a trick, you know the trick, and now you can do much complex operation in a very simple way. So this was what we were doing on strings, the slicing operation, the indexing operation. That's what you will be doing in the real time. So whenever you are getting a data on a string, you will be performing some kind of transformations on that. You will be getting a substring from that, or you might access some characters of that. So these are the operations. Okay. Now let's quickly go and let's see. So there are a lot of other functions as well, but I have tried to uh, get some functions which you will be using more frequently. Okay, but apart from this, a lot of other functions are also there. Okay, so the upper function, what it will be doing, if your string is in the lower case, that upper function will be returning you an instance of all the uppercase. Your string will be converted to uppercase, but you have to keep one thing in mind. Suppose my string is something like this: Python. Okay, if I want to get the uppercase, I will have to say s dot upper. Now this upper function is working on s. This upper function is working on s. There will be some functions which will be taking a variable as a parameter or an argument, and there are some functions which will be working on a particular. So if I'm saying s dot upper, you can see it is returning you an instance of all uppercase later. But what happens? It is only returning an instance of the uppercase. Actual string s is still the lowercase Python only. Okay. If you want to change the actual string also, then you will have to say something like s is equals to, sorry, s dot upper. And now your actual string will be transformed to a uppercase Python. Okay. So that's what, keep in mind that this upper function is working on a particular instance, and it will be returning just instance. Original value will not be changed. The second thing is lower. Lower function is just the alternate of, sorry, not alternate, it's just the reverse of the upper function. What it will be doing, it will be converting your original string to lowercase. So if I'll say s dot lower, you can see you are getting now lowercase Python. Again, your original string is still the same, s is still the same uppercase. It is also working on instance only. Okay. So if you want to again do something like, you have to say s is equals to s dot lower, and now you got your s into lowercase. Similarly, we have something called capitalize. So if I say capitalize, let me quickly do this. It will be converting the very first character of your string to uppercase. So mainly we will be using this capitalize with names. Okay, so name of a person will be first, the first character will be the uppercase letter. So we will be now getting the P in uppercase. Cool. Then we have something called split and join. These two are mostly more frequently used. Okay, so what split will be doing? Split will be dividing your string on the given delimiter, whatever delimiter you provide, and join will be joining a sequence back to string. So let's quickly see these two as well. Okay, suppose I have a string s is equals to now hello world, how are you, something like this. I have not kept any punctuations here. Okay, not the dots and the question marks I'm not keeping. I'm just putting some characters here. Okay, sorry. Now if I need to split this string, okay, so I will be saying s dot split. Okay, and I will be executing it. Okay, so you will see by default split is taking a space as a delimiter. Okay, so you can provide delimiter by putting anything, whatever of your choice, but let's talk about the default thing. By default your string will be segregated based on spaces. Now it is returning your list of 5 different strings. Okay, this list is having 5 elements, and they are the hello world, how are you. So suppose if you want to, okay, let's now split my string based on O. So I can say it like this, s dot split on O. Okay, now you can see I'm getting hell. Okay, I'm getting from space to W, then I'm getting RLDH, then so now it is segregating based on each O. So whenever it will be finding a O, it will terminate, it will return again, it will start looking again, it will find the next O, it will terminate, and it will give you that particular string. So that's what split does. Split will split your string into based on the delimiter, and it will return you a list. Okay, this list you can store and you can use further. What join is doing, so let's quickly store it. Okay, let's split it and let's store it. Okay, so let's store it in some list li. Now I have got a list that is array of different strings, that is 5 elements. Now if I have something like this, I want to join this particular list. Okay, so I want to say hello world, how are you, and I want again spaces or anything, something back. So I can say like this. Okay, like let's join it back on spaces dot join, and then I will passing in the list. Okay, so now you can see you are getting back your string. Okay, you can join on some other things also, like I will put join on the hyphen. Now I will be getting hello hyphen world hyphen join hyphen how hyphen r hyphen u. So this join and split will be very widely used. Okay, so most of the time if you have to get a list out of a string, you will be performing a split function. Sometimes if you need to return back that as a string, okay, you will be again, suppose now I need to return back only the first and the last word. Okay, so suppose you are getting a string. Okay, now the string is a sentence, you need only the first word and the last word of that. So how you can do that? You can simply split it. You have stored it in list, and then From this list, you just need to access only the first two elements, okay, and then you can join it back. Okay, now see some other functions. Okay, that is strip function. Again, it will be very widely used because whenever we have a space in the middle of the string, it adds some value, it adds some meaning. But suppose there is spaces before your string like this, and there are some spaces after your string, something like this. It doesn't, these spaces doesn't add any value to my string. I don't want these spaces, but these spaces might get added because of file error or something, any reason it might be added, human mistakes or anything. So I want to clean up the string. I want only the characters from the beginning to the end. I want only these particular things to be stored in my string. So that can be done by saying s.strip function. What the strip will be doing, it will be removing the leading and the trailing white spaces from a string. Okay, also suppose if you want to keep the right side, the spaces, you want to trim only the left side spaces. So in that case, what you have to do, you have to say s.lstrip. So it will be now removing only the leading white spaces. If you want to remove the right hand side, so you will be saying rstrip. Okay, but again, keep in mind that this particular functions are only working on an instance of that string. Original string is still the same. Original string is still having the spaces. So if you want to change the original string, you can say that s is equals to s dot strip, and then let's strip our spaces, and now your s will not have any leading or trailing white spaces. Okay, so I think now we should move to the next topic. Okay, we already, now the next data type which I quickly want to cover is the list in Python. Again, it is a very powerful thing of data type. Okay, so in other programming language you will see arrays. Here in Python it is a list. Okay, list is a can store multiple elements. Okay, it doesn't have a size constraint. You don't have to initialize a list with a particular size. You can keep on inserting an element into a list. It will keep on growing based on your demand. Okay, so list can grow based on the element. So if you are keeping only one element, it will be of size 1. If you want to keep 100 elements, it will become a list of size 100. If you want to keep 1 lakh element, it will become a list of size 1 lakh. Okay, now the second very good property of a list is that list can store multiple data types altogether. So it's not like that, okay, it's a list of numbers, so it will have only the numbers. It's a list of strings, so it will have only strings. No, list can have any data type inside it. Okay, so if suppose I have a list which is having some numbers, then the same list can have second element as a string, third element as another list, fourth element as a dictionary, fifth element as a tuple, any data type you can keep inside a list. Okay, so let's quickly go and do some examples on list. Let's create a list. Okay, I think I created a list a few minutes back from the split function. No? Yes, now I have a list. Okay, so let's create it a new list with some strings and some values. Okay, so I am putting for some numbers like 1 comma, each of the elements will be comma separated. Okay, 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma, suppose I will put some words, Python, then I will putting Java, then I will be putting Scala, then I will putting, like, let's put another list also. The next element is a list. Okay, this list is having some other elements like 4 comma 5 comma 6 and some other elements, more elements like another list, Ruby, something like that. Okay, now if I'll ask you, so it will be fine. Okay, it will not complain, sorry, it will not complain anything, and now you will be getting a list with multiple data types inside it. It will never complain. The size will keep on growing. If you want to add new elements, you can add it. I'll show you how you can add it. Okay, if you want to remove, you can do all the operations. These are basically mutables. Okay, so you can add, edit, or add, update, or delete any of the elements. The main thing is that Suppose if I will ask you how many elements are there in this particular list, so you will say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this particular list should be considered as a single element. Okay, because when I'm talking about the list Li, this particular list, this inner list, is an element of this list Li. So don't start counting the individual elements of these elements, this list also. So you can't say 3, 3, 6, then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, you have to say 6, 1, 7. Total seven elements are there. So you can quickly run the length function on this list Li, and you will see there are 7 elements in this list. Now, again, in strings, each of the character were indexed. Similarly, in list, each of the element are having a index value. Okay, same way, if you want to access any particular element, you will be doing it the same way. You'll be saying li of 0 to get the first element, li of -1 to get the last element. Okay, so if you want to get a slice of the string, you can do the same slicing operation. You can say li colon 3 to get the first 3 elements. So that's what those operations, that is the slicing and the indexing techniques, will be same. The slicing and the indexing techniques of the will be same. Okay, whatever you did in string, you can do that here also. Let's do something complex which you may face. Okay, so it's not worth to take all those examples of string again here, because we don't have that much of time. Let's quickly do, suppose this was a there was an inner list. Now I want to access this particular element. Okay, if I'll say, okay, what is my list? I am having a list with 7 elements. The seventh element is again another list. Okay, I want to grab this particular element, Ruby. So how I will be doing it? So always take this approach. Okay, I don't know, it might be suitable for some of you, some of you might find some other way, but I'll tell you what you have to do. You have to think like this. Okay, you need to reach to Ruby. So to reach to Ruby, you need an access to this particular list. Okay, now can you access this particular list using this variable li? Do li know anything, something like Ruby is there inside? No, li only knows that I have a 7th element, which is a list. Li doesn't know what all elements are inside this particular list. So to reach to this list, how I can reach? I can reach it through this particular list. Okay, this particular list is the 4th particular element of this inner list. So I need the 4th element of this inner list. Do I have access to this list? Yes, I have now access to this particular list. So what I will be doing, let's quickly grab that first last element, sorry, this particular last element. So I can do using the positive index also, I can do using the negative index also. So here it's wise to go with the negative index so that you don't have to count, you don't get confused. So let's grab it using -1. Let's do step by step. Okay, now li of -1, what it is giving you? It is giving you this inner list. Now did I got Ruby? No, again Ruby is an element of this particular list. How I to proceed on this particular list? To do that, what you have to do, okay, let's do with some layman's approach. What I will do, I will store it in some variable. Okay, I will say a equals to this, and now I have an inner list a, which is having this value. Now I need the last element of this a list, so I will do a of -1. Now I got this, so let's again store it in some another variable, and then I will merge all the steps. Okay, now if you'll see b is having that list. Now you can access Ruby by saying b of 0. Cool, you can do this. But now let's merge all the steps and let's do it in one line. So you have to first access the last element of list li. You will be saying li of -1. What it gave you? It gave you this much. So in Python, if a particular line is getting executed, it will be executed from left to right. So your interpreter will execute this particular thing and it will get a list. Now if it is returning a list, you can do all the list operations on this list. So again, on this list you have to do further indexing. So on this list you was the last element, so you will say, okay, this particular returned a list, let me do again indexing on this. Now what I will be getting, I will be getting the innermost list. Okay, so here I have -1 again. If Python has executed till this much, again you got a list. On this particular list you will be saying 0. So now you got the Ruby. So whatever is the complexity of list, no need to worry. You can simply just parse line by line, line by line, line by line. Once you will get accustomed to it, you can parse it just by looking at a list. Okay. Similarly, let's do one quick example. One more example. Like I have a Python. Okay. I want the T of this particular element. So what my question is, the fourth element of this list. I want the third character of the fourth element of this particular list. Third character of fourth element. So first of all, I need to reach to this particular fourth element. Can I reach it? Yes. By simply saying li of 3, I will be getting Python. Now, what is the return type? What is the return type? The return type is string. Again, on string, can I do indexing? Yes, I can do. I need the third character. I will be simply saying a further indexing of 3. Sorry, not the third character will be at index number 2. Okay, 0, 1, 2. And I will be getting T. So like this, you can do any of the complex things. Okay, easily, but just you have to practice. Okay. Now let's move further. Hope you guys are clear in the list and string. Okay. Let's again quickly see some examples, some functions which are very handy and which are very useful in list. Okay. So let's quickly see adding, updating, and deleting an element from a list. Okay. Now suppose I have a list li. Now let's create it as an empty list. I'm creating it as an empty list. What I want to do, I want to add some particular elements to this list. So I have two functions to add, actually three functions. So let's start one by one. I will say li dot append and whatever I want to pass. I want to add one to that list. It will be taking only one argument. Keep in mind, it will be taking only one argument. So you can pass in only one value at a time. So you can say li dot append 1. This one will go and it will be added to this list. So now if you check your list li, it will be having an element 1. Now let's again append li dot append 2. This 2 will be added as a second element. Now you can see this 2 got added at the right of the 1. If I'll add 3, it will be again added at as the last element. So append function is taking an argument and it is passing, it is appending that particular element as a last element of the list. Whatever you will passing, suppose I will pass another list. Okay, I will pass in something like this, 1 comma 2 comma 3. Okay, so now this entire list will be added as an element. This entire list will be added as an element. So you can see 1 2 3 comma and then again I have a list. Okay, append will take an argument, it will add it to the end of the list. What if I have to insert the elements of a list into another list, like 1 2 3, I want this to be added as an individual element, not as a list. So in that case, what you have to do, you have to do extend. So extend will be taking a list, okay, and it will add, suppose I am now adding 4 5 6. Now if I will say append this 4 5 6, this entire list will be added as an element, but I want this 4 to be inserted as an individual element, 5 to be added as an individual element, 6 to be added as an individual element. So I will say li dot extend. So now you can see li, this 4 5 6 are added as a unique elements into this list, not basically unique, but yeah, they are added as an individual elements, not as a list elements. Okay, but anyway, append and extend both are adding an element at the end of the list. I may have a requirement that I want to add a particular element at a particular value of my choice. Suppose I want to add 7 after this 2. I want to add 7 after this 2. What I have to do? In that case, I will be calling the insert function. I will say li dot insert and then the value and the position. So if you'll quickly see the insert, okay, one more thing. If you're working on the Jupyter notebook, you can, or to get the info about any function, you have to press shift plus tab and it will be giving you the information about the function, that is the signature. So it is saying index and the values. Okay, so pass in the index. What is the index you want to insert? 2. At index number 2, you want to insert the value 7. Let's execute it and let's check the value li. Now you can see the 7 is inserted at a particular position, okay, of your choice. So that's how you will be adding an element to the list. Okay, so if you will be using append, it will be adding at the end of the list. If you will be using insert, it will be adding at a particular position. Okay, Now let's see if I want to update something. Okay, if I want to update, suppose I want to update 0 1 2 3 4, fifth element. Okay, so li of 4 is my fifth element. Sorry, li of, and then bracket, it's my fifth element. Okay, I want to update it with some value like 8, sorry, or 9. So now you will be simply accessing that particular element and you will be assigning it with the new value. This equal to is basically an assignment operator. So you are assigning the value 8 to the fifth element of list li. Now let's check li. You can see it is 1 2 3 1 2 7 3 8. Okay, that list is replaced by 8. So this is how you can update a list. Okay, if I want to update this 7 to any other value, you can simply say li of 2 and then the value equals to that value. So this is how you will be updating a list. Now let's quickly see how we can delete a particular list. So to delete a particular list, you have two things. Li dot, you can use pop, and you can say 2. So you can see whatever position you are passing in, it will be removing an element from that particular position. So if you are saying li dot pop 2, it means whatever element is at the position number 2, it will remove that. So pop will be taking the index value as an argument. Similarly, if you don't know the position, if you don't know the position, but you know what value you need to remove, like I know I need to remove 8 from this list. So I will saying li dot remove, and then I will be passing in 8. So this remove function will be taking the value of the element which you want to remove. So now it will be just removing. You will see li don't have any 8 now. So pop is there, remove is there, again delete is there. Okay. So sort and reverse, let's quickly do this also. So what the sort will be doing, this sort will be sorting your list on, okay, this sort will be sorting your list on ascending order. Okay, so if you see li, now it's sorted. Okay, anyway, that list was already sorted, I think. Yes, it was already sorted. Okay, anyway, so if you want to reverse this list, you can simply say li dot reverse, and it will be reversing your list. Now let's check the li. Okay, it is on reverse. Now again, if you, let's call li dot sort. Now we'll check li. You can see that it is being sorted on the ascending order. Okay, you can sort in the descending order also. Okay, either you can say li dot sort dot reverse. So what it will do, li dot sort dot reverse. Okay, what it will do, it will first sort the list and then it will be reversing it. So basically you will be getting a list in descending order also. Or else what you have to do, you have to use the sorted function. You have to pass in the list. Okay, and you have to, if you check, there is a parameter here which is saying reverse is equal to false. So if you say reverse is equal to true, automatically it will be sorting based on the reverse, that is the descending order. So you can use those things. Okay, apart from this we have a lot of other functions, but we can't cover them. Okay, so this is all about a list which I want to cover in today's session. Okay, now let's quickly jump into functions in Python. Okay, so I am not covering the loops and everything, loop, if else thing. Let me quickly cover the functions, how we can create a functions, what is the working of a function. Okay, which I think it's more important. So a function, what basically a function is, like we have used so many functions till now. We are using sort function, reverse function, we have used length function, extend, append. We are using so many functions. What is this? So what happens, these codes were written, okay, and now whenever I need that, I just need to call that function and it will be executing the implementation of that function, whatever the definition I have defined, that okay, this is a function which needs to do something. Sort is a function which will be taking a list as an argument, and what it will be doing, for each of the element of this list, it will be doing sort operation. So that's what function is. Same thing, a function is defined to have a set of statement and doing some computation, and it will be returning you some results. Okay, now in Python and any other language also, but I will talk specifically to Python. In Python we have two portions of function, a definition portion and a calling portion. So first you have to define a function. So we will be defining a function by saying def keyword and then the name of the function, whatever you want to give, and then the optional parameters. And this definition of function will have the body, what all steps you want to execute. Cool. Now, once you will execute this function will be created. It will not be executed. It will not implement anything which is written inside the body. It will just be created. To execute this function, what you need to do? You need to call that function. Okay. So once you are defining a function, that function can be called n number of times. Whenever you need it, you just need to call that. You don't have to repeat your same codes again and again and again. You just wrote that code inside a block. That block is named, and that is named as a function. Now whenever you need that block, you just call that particular function. Okay. So let's quickly see. Let's create some function and let's see some example. Suppose I have a function. Let's do a very basic example of add two numbers. Okay, add two number. Okay, I am now putting, this is the syntax of writing def followed by the name of the function, whatever you want to give, followed by the brackets, and then the colon. The colon will mark the starting of the block. Okay, again I want to deviate from this topic and go into the block. What happens in Python, whenever we are talking about a block, we don't have the curly brackets. Okay, we don't have this bracket to define a block. Okay, so what we do, we have to define a block by using the spaces in the beginning. Okay, if you're working on IDE, automatically it will be indented. But suppose if you are sometimes writing a program on a notepad or some Y editor, okay, then you have to keep this in mind that okay, this block is needs to be indented. So 4 spacing, 8 spacing, 2 spacing, anything you can keep, but keep in mind that don't include, it means don't mix space bars and tabs in your program. Okay, if you mix both of them, it will create a problem. Either use space bar or use tabs. Okay, so now this will be the body. So after putting a colon, whatever you will be writing, like suppose I will be saying number 1 is equals to 7, number 2 is equals to 8, and then there's a function result thing which is having number 1 plus number 2. So you can see whenever I'm hitting enter, automatically it is indenting and there are some spacing. All these three lines are aligned in the same way. Okay, and then I will be printing this result. Sorry, print res. Okay, now suppose my function ended. Okay, now I want to return back to the normal thing. So I will be now hitting, I will be hitting a space bar and I will be coming to the zero portion, that is the zero indentation. Again on the flow on which I was writing the program, on this particular level I will be coming. Again if I need to go into a block, I will be indenting it. If it's a nested function, nested loop, anything like that, you have to keep in mind the indentation thing. It is very important in Python. Without that you will be getting a lot of errors. Now if I'll execute it, okay, what will happen, this you can see add to number is created. Okay, I'm not calling that function now. You can see that this function is created somewhere in memory, but when you just executed this particular cell, I didn't got the print statement, I didn't got the result. Why? Because in this particular statement I was just creating a function, I was just defining a function, I was not executing that. To execute a function, you need to call that function. How you will be calling that function? You need to call that function by putting in the name of the function and then the brackets. Now you are basically calling the function. So once the function is called, that time the execution will happen. Okay, and now it is executing the function and it is giving you the result. But see, there is a problem in this program. The problem is, I told you that function, the function I'm using to reduce the repeatability. So to increase the repeatability, so if I have a particular code, I don't have to write it again and again. I will be simply reusing the code. But here again, if I need to add two numbers, I can't call this particular functions. If I need to add 13 and 12 next time, I can't call this because I have hard coded the values. Okay, so that time, whenever at the time of calling a function, you know that what is the value you have to add or what is the value you have to pass, what is the value that needs to be executed. we will go with the approach of parameterization. So what parameterization is? What parameterization is, when defining the function, I am telling that okay, this function, this function is going to take a particular set of parameters. This function is going to take a particular set of parameters, and it will be dependent on these parameters. So suppose I will be saying num1 and num2. Now these are dynamic. They do. I will not be hard coding any values on this. And inside the body, what I will be saying, there is a result variable which will be adding num1 and num2. Whatever the parameters are here, that needs to be added inside the body and stored inside another variable. Okay, and then I will be printing it up. Print res. Good. Now tell me, have I hard coded any value? No, I have not hard coded any particular value in this. So if I have to add now 8 and 7, I will simply call add another number, and I will be passing 7 comma 8. Now keep in mind, whenever you are using a parameterized function, while calling the function, you have to pass in exact same number of arguments. Exact same number of arguments. You can't pass less, you can't pass more. Okay, if you will be doing that, it will be causing you a trouble. So we will see there are some scenarios where we have to handle those things as well. Okay, but anyway, let's talk about the basics now. So add another number. Now I'm calling it with 7 and 8. You'll see I got the output 15. Now the same function can be used to add 12 and 13 also. Add another numbers, and I will be saying 12 comma 13. And now I'm getting 25 as the result. So now it became more of a generic block. Okay, so every time I need to add two numbers, I will be calling that function, I will be passing the values, and I will be getting the result. Okay, now if you'll call this add another number without passing any values, it will give you error. Okay, so there is a uh, thing concept called keyword argument, and there is a concept called default parameterization in Python, which will handle these also. Because suppose you have a website, okay, that is displaying a username and followers. So there you have written a function for that. Okay, def user login, and that will be taking two arguments, a username of the user and the followers. And what it needs to do, it needs to display at a particular section in your website that hello, this particular user, you have so many so and so followers. Now I am a person who doesn't have any followers, suppose in some case. Now if I will try to log in, what will happen, the followers will be passed as an empty. I will only username will be passed for mine. If I will be calling a function which was defined with two parameters, and I'm calling that function only with one argument, in that case I will be getting error that hey boss, you can't log into this website. But no, if I don't have a follower, that doesn't mean that I should not be allowed to log into that website. So how to handle those scenarios? We can handle those scenarios by default arguments and the keyword arguments. Okay, so basically what we does, uh, let me quickly cover that as well. When I'm defining the function, okay, let me name it with something. You can keep the same name also, but let's not do this. While defining the function, wherever I'm keeping the parameters, I will keep some default values with the parameter. Okay, let me create that example only. Put the name as user underscore login, and let me put username and suppose followers. It is just printing hello. So this is basically I'm using a formatted string. Okay, formatted printing, and I want this username to be passed here and the followers to be passed in the second bracket. Followers, go. Now, if I'll execute it, now my function user underscore login is created. Now, suppose I am having only the username, okay, or there is a person who is having some followers. He didn't created a username. Okay, he is just logging in using his email address. So in that case, also only one parameter will be passed. Again, it will fail. So what happens while defining this function? Like, let's quickly do that. So if I'll call it without anything, I will get error. So when defining this function, I will keep some default values. The default values is like, suppose I will keep a string unknown for username and the value 0 for followers. Okay, so that in any case, if a person is not having any username, not having any follower, or if he is not having anything, then in that case, if I'll be calling that, I should not get any error because my website should never crash. Okay, I should handle all these business scenarios. So in that case, this unknown and this 0 will be taken from default argument, default parameters, and it will be passed as a value. But if a person with a genuine username and followers will be passed, like suppose Santa with 100 followers is passed. Now this person will be overriding the original defined function. That is the default values. So now I will be getting hello Santa and you have 100 followers. So the default values will be executed only when you are not passing in any values for any of the parameters. Now one more key thing to keep in mind. Suppose a person X has written this function and the person Y is calling this function. Person X has kept the username as the first parameter, followers as the second parameter. Person Y knows that he needs to pass in two values, but he was not sure about the order. Okay, he was not knowing which one to call. So what he did, he called this, sorry, he called this user underscore login by passing in the followers first, like suppose 200, and the name as second. Okay, in this case, what will be happening? Python will not complain anything to you. Python is a type inferred language. It doesn't care that you are passing in a string or a number. Whatever value you are passing, it will be assigned. So now in this case, this 200 will be assigned to username, Banta will be assigned to followers, and you are getting the same thing here. But is it the correct result? No. So if you are not sure how many parameters are there or what is the order of parameter, always go with the keyword. Okay, so what you can do while calling the function, along with the values, you will be passing in the keywords. Like you will be saying followers is equals to 200, and you will be saying username is equals to Banta. Now you have used the keywords of the parameters here to call that. So now the sequence doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what is the sequence you are providing. It will be just mapping the values with each other. So username will go to the username, followers will go to the followers, and now you're getting perfect result like hello Banta, and you have 200 followers. Okay, so now we are already running out of time. Let's quickly cover some topics from file. Okay, so file handling is again a very cool thing to do in Python. Okay, not in Python, in any programming you have to do this. Okay, so you have to write an output, you have to read a file, you have multiple things. So let's see how we can do that. Okay, so let me do have any test.txt? Yes, I have some test.txt. I have some junk lines in this. Okay, line 1 2 3 6 something is there. Okay, let me quickly. So in file handling, there are few things to keep in mind. Okay, let me quickly cover few important things of file handling. File, whenever you have to work on a file, there are few things. First of all, you have to open a file. After opening a file, you have to do the requisite operations that you want to read, write, append, whatever you want to do that operation on file. But once you are done with the operation, don't ever forget to close the file. So this is also the developer's responsibility that you have to close the file. So we have three phases: open the file, work on file, and close the file. Now there are few modes of opening a file, because a person, suppose if I am opening a file to read something. So if I only need to read a file, I don't need the write permissions. Okay, so Python has segregated the permissions, the modes of a file. So by default, if you are opening a file without providing any mode, it will be provided in read only mode. Also, if you are providing the mode as W, then that's a write only mode. If you're providing a mode as A, we'll see how we will be doing that. It will be created as append only mode. It will be append only mode, but there will be some persons who have to do. So in read only, write only, append only, what append also is a write operation only. So in that also there will be only write operations possible, but there will be few persons who needs to do both, read also, write also. So in that case we have to give advanced permission, that read plus write, write plus read, append plus read. So let's quickly see what and how to do these things. Okay, so let's say f is equals to open function is used to open any file, and then in open function you have to give the entire path. Now since I'm running it from the same folder, I will be just giving test.txt. So test.txt, now I have opened the file. You will see f. Okay, let's see f. What is f? So f is having some properties. What are the properties? The name of the file, it is a text IO wrapper, the name of the file which is holding. This f is a file handler. Whenever you will be working on any file, you will not directly go into the file and you will write something there. No, you are using a programming language to access or to work on a file. What you will be doing, you will be first opening the file. By using this handler f, you will be accessing the contents or modifying the contents. So now the file is open. The name of the file is test.txt. The mode of the file is R, because R is the read only mode and it's the default mode of a file. So if you will not provide any mode, it will be opened in a read only mode. And the encoding, what is the encoding? Encoding and decoding is basically how you are wrapping up your text. Okay, how your computer will be interpreting it. So but if you are working on a Windows system, it will be CP1252 by default encoding type. If you're working on Linux system, it will be UTF-8. That is the default encoding. Okay, you can change the encoding to your convenience also. Okay, now I have opened this file. Let's do some read operation. I will say f dot read. Okay, so this read function needs some parameter. That is again an optional parameter. If you will not pass anything, it will read the entire content. Okay, so what happens when you are opening any file? Okay, let's think in a human approach. When we are reading something, what happens? We start reading from the topmost corner and our eye will move according. Whatever character we will read, our eye will move to the next character. Again, our eye will move to the next character, like this. And once we have read everything, our eyesight will reach here. Now there is nothing to read. Same thing happens in Python also. Once you have opened a file in a read mode, okay, the cursor will be here. Okay, the file handler's cursor will be here. It will be at the 0th character. Whenever you will be reading any particular character, so suppose you read one character or two character, it will read that particular character and the cursor will move that particular position. Now if you want to read anything, it will start reading from here. Again, if you have read everything, your cursor will reach here. And now at this particular point, if you will try to read anything further, it will give you nothing, because now there is nothing left in the file. So that's what happens. A read function, if I will not provide any argument, it read the entire file. Now again, if I'll try to read something, it will not give me anything, because I have my cursor already reached the end of the file. Okay, so there's nothing left to read. What I can do, let's quickly seek it back to 0. So seek is another function which can be used to pull the cursor to any particular position. Let's seek it back to 0. And now let me try to read 4 characters. So I will say f dot read 4. So what it will be doing, the cursor, it will be reading 4 characters from the cursor's current value. So the cursor's current value is, now I have seeked it, so cursor will go again back to the 0th position. From this position, I am trying to read the first 4 values. Okay, so let's execute it. Now I'll be getting the first 4 characters. Where my cursor is, the cursor will reach again after line. It had read already. Now if I'll try to do something, like I'll say f dot read again. So now from that particular position, from this particular position to the end of the file, it will read everything. Okay, so that's how you will be reading. Apart from the read, we have read lines also. Okay, so I will not be able to cover that. Okay, let's quickly see about a write operation. And you have to keep one thing in mind. A write operation is a very critical operation. Okay, let me first copy this content. Whenever you are opening a file, let me close this file now. F.close, because what I told you, in a read operation, it's a read only mode. If you'll try to do some write thing, it will give you error basically. Write takes only one argument. F.write will give you the type error. Okay, so now let me close this thing first. F.close. Okay, now let's do some write thing. Whenever you're opening a file in the write mode, what happens? That file will be opened as a fresh file. If any content is written in that file, that will be deleted. So if I have something written in that file, if I open this file in the write mode, let's open it in the write mode. F is equals to open test, what was the name? TST capital. No, small. TXT. Oh, sorry. To open a file in the write mode, I have to provide the mode also. Mode is equals to W. Okay. Now let's see the file. Let's see the file. What is the file? The file is now opened in the write mode. Okay. Let's go quickly and see this. Okay. If I'll refresh this file, you'll see everything is gone. Because if a file is opened in a write mode, it will erase everything. It will open it as a fresh new file for you. Okay, so if ever you want to edit on the continuous file, you want to preserve the content and then you want to write it further down that existing content, you have to open the file in append mode. Never ever open that file in the write mode. Once you will open the file in the write mode, it will delete everything and then it's an irreversible change. You will lose the data. Okay, so now I have opened the file in the write mode. Let me try to write something. I'll say f dot write. Okay, let me put something hello. Okay, now what happens again if I'll start writing? What happens we'll start writing from this particular thing. Once we'll write a character, the cursor will go next, then it will go next, then it will go next, it will go next, like this. After writing each character, the cursor will be blinking after that particular character. Now if you will refresh it, you will not be able to see. Until unless I'll close this file, you will not be able to see. If you want to see, you have to do a flush operation. This flush will write the contents, whatever this f is holding to the file. Now if I'll refresh it, you will be able to see this hello. Now this hello is written to the file. Now the cursor is blinking here. What now? If suppose I want to write world, now again this world will be written from that particular position. Okay, from this particular position. So let's again quickly flush it and let's go here, refresh the page, and you can see the world is written after this. Again the cursor is blinking. So if you want to go to the next line and write something, simply say like this, f dot write new line. First of all, you need to drag the cursor to a new line, so you will be putting in the new line character and then on a new line. Okay, cool. So now let's quickly again flush it. Let's come here and refresh this. Once I will be refreshing it, you can see on a new line. This got printed out. Okay, so that's how you will be writing on a file. Okay, if you will try to read anything, you will not be able to read from this file because this file is open in a write only mode. Okay, similarly, if you will change the mode to A, it will become append mode. Now in append also you will be able to only write to that file. If you want to do both the operations, let me quickly take that particular example. Okay, f is equals to open test.txt and mode is equals to So I can open the file in R plus W plus anything. So I can say it like R plus. Okay. Now, if I will be saying R plus, this file will be opened. Whatever file I'm saying, that file will be opened in a read mode and a write permission will be given. If I'll write W plus, that file will be opened in a write mode and a read permission will be given. So what is the difference? If you are opening in R plus, the contents will be saved. Okay. And you can read write to that file. But if you are opening in a W plus, the contents will be gone. Then on a new file, you can do both the read and write operations. So that is how you can provide the argument of mode as everything. Okay. So we are already out of time. Okay. Let's now see the next slide about the Python, by this Python training course. So whatever thing you are enrolling into. Okay. So we will be first covering the entire syllabus, the basics, the OOPS concept, exception handling, everything we are covering. And if someone wants to enroll for the analytics side, we'll be covering that as well. That is a different curriculum. Then we'll be at the end of this, that we will be doing some projects, each and everything. Like, so few minutes will be a theoretical thing, we will be talking about that sort of subject, and then each and everything we are doing in practically. Okay, so everything we will be doing, we will be getting some codes, you have to do those things. Okay, again, it totally depends on how much effort you put as well. Practice is the key. You have to practice, practice, practice. Okay, you have to put an effort. Python is a very easy language, very cool language, you will learn easily. Just you need to practice, you need to give some time, attention to it in the beginning, and at the end it will pay you a lot. Okay, not in terms of money only, but anyway. So it's a very good language to learn, very simple language to learn. And it's a, you may know that what is a we already know what is the market about the Python. So we have a lot of things in which we can do in Python, from automation, from web development. We already talked in the beginning. So now I will invite some questions, and if you have any questions, let's quickly go through the questions. Okay, or else we can conclude the session, and hope to see you guys in our training sessions. Any questions from my today's existing class, any code, anything like that? So you guys come out, tell. See, in this 1 or 1.5 hour time span, I couldn't take a lot of things are still there. Okay, in string also a lot of very important functions were there. So I try to cover the important things. Okay, let's see, we got some questions. The first question: how to open Jupyter from PC? Okay, so if you have installed this this particular, if you have already installed the Jupyter notebook individually, then also it's fine. If you have installed Anaconda Python, then what you need to do? Let me quickly show this. So what you need to do, there are two ways. So if you are on a Windows, you can simply type in Jupyter and you will see this Jupyter notebook as an app. Okay, you can click on it. It will open this black color window for some time, and then it will pop up this particular home screen in your default browser. It's a browser based ID, but don't worry, it will not take any internet or anything. Okay, it doesn't require any internet. It's just a browser based ID. Okay, and then here you can just, you can go here, you can create folders, you can create text files, you can create Python 3. If you'll click on Python 3, you will be getting your notebook. Here you can write codes in one line, you can write multiple things, or you can use multiple lines to write your code. Each of the line will be remembering each other's value. Okay, but if you're on Mac or terminal, Mac or Linux, you will not get this Jupyter notebook as an app. What you need to do, you need to open your terminal. In Windows, I will show it from command prompt. Okay, and you need to type in here Jupyter Jupyter notebook. Okay, and then hit enter. Again, it will open this black window for some time, and then it will open the same, this particular home screen, and there. Okay, but keep in mind this Jupyter notebook should be installed first of all. Okay, the next question: thanks for the information, the excellent explanation for most of the time. Thank you, Renika, thanks for that. Okay, so this PS Brahmanandam, please first check that whether you have this installed or not. How Django framework work? Okay, so Django is, please go on mute, unmute videos. Okay, So Django framework is a framework where you will have to import the libraries of that framework. That framework will be providing you everything. So if you want to render a template, it will be giving you a method for rendering a template, writing the codes, HTML, everything. So and then making the request, importing everything. So you have to learn on Python. You have to learn about those libraries to work on Django. Okay, Django is just a framework which will be giving you different libraries, set of tools which you will use to make a website. Thank you, Disha. Thanks a lot. Any other questions? Okay, we got one more question. Is this course for only Python? I joined because of APM with Python. Okay, so no, Disha, I don't teach APM. I teach Python programming, and I'm more into the analytics field. Okay, so I teach the other technologies like Django. Sorry, not Django. This Pandas, NumPy, those tools, but not into this APM side. The same goes for Sunita also. I am not into the web development side. Just know about the framework, but I don't work on that. Thank you. Okay, let's wait for 3 more minutes. If we have any other questions, you guys can ping, else we can end the session. Okay, thank you, Sunita. What is NumPy? Okay, NumPy is numerical Python. What happens when I talked about list? I told you that list can have a lot of data. Okay, we can store one 1 lakh elements and anything. We can do all type of computations on list, but list is not that fast. So if I have to perform any, suppose in ML side, machine learning side, you need to feed lots of data, and the computer needs to be really quick. So all those things numerical Python is providing you. So that is providing you an array concept. So we will have NumPy arrays. We will be putting elements in that can also have multiple data types, but that is really fast. Okay, so if a list is taking suppose 100 seconds to execute some operation, the same operation can be executed on NumPy array in 10 seconds. So that's the difference. So it will be very useful on when we are working on a lot of data sets. Thanks, Shweta. Thanks for that compliment. Just wanted to know if this session was recorded, if there's any link that we provide. I think it is recorded, but you have to talk to Mind Magics for that. So where they are keeping the location. I don't know about the location where they will be uploading it. But yes, it is getting recorded. It's being recorded. So Nitin, hope I answered your question. Okay, so a lot of things. The entire thing, this framework, the pandas, it is also developed on top of NumPy only. So NumPy is having a lot of dependencies. It is also why it is fast, because it is having a lot of codes written in C language, and we know that C language have a basic integration with the our system. So that's why it is fast. Okay, thanks all. Thank you.